Everywhere on the internet that I'm searching, Himeko is always rated very poorly. And I think the question that I actually ask myself is, would there be a day where Himeko actually becomes meta? And what are the situations that requires for her to actually become very, very strong in game? Now, in my opinion, the reason why she's not very strong right now is because there are alternatives that exist for her. One of the key examples is a character like Fire MC, a preservation unit that not only is also a defender class, which we all need right now in the early game, a bit of taunting, a bit of sustainability, but not only that, she also provides a lot of fire break damage for the entire roster as well. This literally competes against Himeko because she also fights in an AoE fashion in terms of fire break damage. When you have Fire MC, the value of Himeko diminishes significantly because you don't really need her for break anymore. So all you're using her is really for the damage output that she does. But of course, damage output can be found in, for example, characters like Jingyuan. You can use Serval, you can use Pella, and other AoE characters all are the same as well. I think one of the main reasons why Himeko is not very meta right now is definitely the free-to-play alternative, which is Fire MC. A lot of people may not think about it in that sense, but really the main benefit of erudition characters tends to be their ability to not only do a lot of damage in AoE, but also a lot to do with their fire break damage. On top of that, we have a free-to-play character also like Asta, who buffs the entire team like Tingyun in terms of attack buffing the whole roster. But not only that, she also does a lot more like speed up, the same type element buffing. With Harmony Light Cones, she also action advances as well. So very versatile, and a team, for example, together with Fire MC and Asta, more or less settles the entire fire component. So with that narrative, I think there are maybe two main ways that Himeko will definitely see more play. And the first one is pretty obvious. I think the first main game state is as we approach the end game, which I think is quite highly likely, that a lot of the enemies in the for example, the Memory of Chaos are going to have less and less weaknesses. For example, some monsters we have right now have like 3 weaknesses, some maybe even 4 weaknesses. But moving forward, it's very easy for the developers to reduce the amount of weaknesses every enemy has, and when there are only like 2 or 1 weakness on the enemy, especially when it's like a fire weakness or maybe a fire and imaginary weakness with weld, it's going to be really, really challenging. I think that if we have a game state where we require a lot of single element teams, Himeko is still going to be more in the meta. She's very strong in terms of her AoE fire damage, does very good damage. Her attack stat is actually very high, one of the highest in the game, also because she is a 5-star stat scaling character. On top of that, you have characters like Asta, who buffs in her kit fire damage. She buffs attack bonus, gives speed up, all of which scale very well with, for example, Himeko. And also, because you already have a Harmony fire character, you are able to run this light cone, the Planetary Rendezvous here, which buffs same type damage. A lot of other mono teams are not able to do this yet, because we currently only have 3 Harmony characters, 4 with the inclusion of Yukong. That is like Fire, Lightning, Wind with Bronya, as well as Yukong with Imaginary. So those are like the only 4 teams right now we can run mono and get the full buff with Planetary Rendezvous, the Harmony Light Cone. So I think that's like the first and biggest reason why Himeko will be meta in future as well. I think the second main reason why I think that Himeko will become meta is when her alternatives start to diminish. And that will be when Fire MC starts to transition. A lot of us are relying now on Fire MC to play a defender type role, but when more and more healers or defender class units are added, or perhaps once the story progresses and Fire MC has a better role, I think if there was a Nihility imaginary character for a Fire MC to transition over, we will immediately be moving Fire MC over to that role. Or perhaps we will have one in future, maybe a Harmony MC, maybe it's a Harmony Quantum MC for example. That will be a very significant shift. Once that happens, we will be missing an AoE break in terms of fire, and that is when Himeko will start becoming more and more relevant. So really the main competition for her right now as of 1.0 is Fire MC, and once Fire MC goes, even to, for example, if we have an Abundance Healer main character, I think that will be a really good transition, and that's when Himeko will definitely see more play as well. So it's not all doom and gloom. Right now she's just released in a poor time because of competition from free-to-play alternatives, but I do see upside potential for this character, and that is not something that a lot of people should know as well. Of course, she's going to be very easy to power creep, but there's no point for a developer releasing a character into the game which power creeps an irrelevant character. She needs to become relevant first before the game decides to release a new character to sell. For example, in Genshin Impact, Diluc was a meta in the beginning, and then they started to sell more alternatives. But if the character was never meta to begin with, most likely the chance of power creep will be low, because it's, in terms of a marketing sales point of view, it makes no sense to sell people characters that no one needs. If you like such thought videos on seeing the future and discussing topics as well, do leave a comment below, like and subscribe, and I'll definitely be doing more of these videos too. Thank you so much for watching. Check out these 2 other videos right here, and see you in the next video.